sign of the times. I don't know. I just tried to make a little bit of recording on this thing before I jumped right into it because I thought I had accidentally hit the record button, and I just started rambling. And by the time I finished recording, I hit the stop button, or at least I thought I was trying to hit the stop button, and turned out, no, you just hit the record button. You did all that talking, and you didn't get anything. So what are you going to do? Well, I figured, well, why not just start all over from the beginning, as always, and just try to tighten it up a little bit. But anyhow, what spurred me to just take a little bit of time to focus on just something that I found that concerned me and share that was the fact that some time ago, it wasn't very long ago, I kind of heard it just in passing, somebody mentioned a site called Madame Noir, and I had never heard of this site before, and in case anyone else has never heard of it, from what I gather, it's sort of like a cross between Bossip and Essence.com, one of those types of deals, and it appears to be geared primarily, if not exclusively, to the African American woman's audience. And so I just, out of curiosity, I wanted to look through it and see, well, you know, I understand from at least the little passing blurb that I heard that there are some articles here that kind of help keep this whole gender war thing brewing and keeping the wall of division between black men, black women, all that stuff. And I just figured, well, just out of curiosity, let me just go check it out, see what I can come across with. And I got curious about this one article, which I decided to stop and look at. It's probably not going to be telling me much of anything new or anything that I haven't already shared before. But I figured, well, let me go ahead and see what their take is on it anyhow. And I still have yet to get to the article. I'm just still on the actual page of the article and on the very first page of something like, what, 15, 16 pages of short paragraphs. And before I even got started, I just noticed something right away. And this was what I wanted to point out. Not anything to do with the website itself or who runs it or who operates it, whoever runs and operates it. Has nothing to do with the title heading, had nothing to do with the subject matter, had nothing to do with who the intended audience is. Anything and everything related to the setup or the articles or the writers and contributors or the agenda or all that other stuff, don't know, and at this point in time really don't care. Because that's not what kind of like broke me out of my pseudo-apathy. What really kind of struck a nerve with me was noticing the types of advertisements that are being hosted on this site. Now, I don't know if the people of Madame Noir actually went looking for people and scouted people out and tried to buy interest so that they could have ads on their site, or if these are outsiders that came to the site and said, hey, we'd like to advertise our products or our services on your website. However that arrangement came about, either way, it still says a lot in my opinion. As I tend to look at this as something beyond just curious and just interesting and just kind of out of bizarro world, but as much as I'm looking at it from that perspective, I'm also having it bounce around in my brain that this kind of a setup or these types of ads that are being that are finding a place on this website, which is essentially a web magazine for black girls, I'm thinking to myself, do they see, as I do, the hidden message or the hidden agenda behind these web advertisements? And I'm not saying who has the agenda, but somehow I'm trying to make as much sense of this as I possibly can, because to me, these sites, although I know that they need to generate ad revenue in order to keep their operations going and whatnot, I get that. And in some cases, if they're hemorrhaging for funds and everything, well, they're going to probably take ads from whoever, whatever. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. It seems like these particular ads are very deliberate. And as I said, they speak to our condition, or they reaffirm things about ourselves which are either stereotypical about us or that are conditioning us to continue going a certain way in our mentality, in our mindset. And in a sense, these ads also serve to even further deepen and widen the divide between black men and black women with that whole gender war thing. Now, maybe I'm being the Question or some other character who's always into this conspiracy theory mindset of the insidious intent behind something that seems quite innocent. But I tend to see things of questionable motive, if you will, from things which appear innocent, but given their context, I cannot but help but believe that there's something a little insidious about this, and it's serving to further put us in a not very desirable light, let's say. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to rattle through these. The first one is near the top. An ad for, quote, Asian dating site, unquote. And right away, that got me raising a couple of questions. It's like, well, depending on who was behind this ad getting posted on this page anyway, the other question it raises in mind is, who is this going to benefit? Or who is the intended demographic for this advertisement on a web magazine that is geared primarily toward African American women? Because the image is of an Asian girl, which of course most dating advertisements are going to feature females anyway, that's just a given. But you would think if it's on a web mag that caters to women and a certain demographic of women, black women specifically, you would think they would show at least a couple, or perhaps an interracial couple of a black woman with an Asian man or whatever. But no, it's just an image of an Asian woman, and it just advertises that they're an Asian dating site. They don't identify who they are. You got to click on the thing to find out exactly who it's affiliated with, and that's not my concern. But the question is raised in my mind, was this Asian dating site advertisement geared toward black women in order to encourage them to date Asian men, which there seems to be a little subgroup on the website that hosts our videos, which shall go unnamed? Because, okay, we know that there's that going on. Or could it be that this site, this ad spot is up here for the purpose of attracting the attention of the angry, bitter black men who are coming to this site looking for ammunition to use in the gender war? And it's like, oh, Asian girls are much better than black women and blah, 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 as the old routine goes. And so maybe this was something that was put there to compel black men to look into it. Again, I don't know. I'm just asking a question. And I'm saying that something smells a little bit out of the ordinary. So further down the line, we have two more ads, which also stuck out at me. One is for something called Zulily, and apparently it's a clothing shop, but I don't know if it's strictly online or if they have physical locations or whatever. I've never heard of it before until now. But here's the blurb. Quote, all shapes and sizes, unquote. Now, that might sound all nice and innocent at first, but what did you suppose that they used as the model to advertise their line of clothing? And it's a nice looking little outfit and everything. It's done up real nice. But what image do you suppose that they put on this ad for which they're declaring that we serve and cater to all shapes and sizes. Did they show a variety of different people in various shapes and sizes, or women, I should say, because clearly this is for women's fashion, or that's what's to be implied. There's not a whole lot of detail on the ad itself, but the implication is it's for women's clothing. But of course, if it's for all shapes and sizes, then of course you would think that they would show someone who's going to be sort of like an every person, so to speak, like someone who's not too big, someone who's not too small, someone who's just right or kind of in the middle, or just, somebody who looks just like what we would consider a normal, average, everyday type of person. You think that's what they showed? You wouldn't want to bet money on that, would you? No, of course not. They stated that they specialize in all shapes and sizes to highlight the fact that they want to cater to fat women. Because the model that they use is not a rail thin model. She's not an average size model. She's not even what we would call thick. She's in the obese category. The only saving grace as far as this ad goes is the fact that they didn't highlight a black woman this time. This time, it's a fat white woman. But still, it's a fat woman. So, all shapes and sizes, but we're going to have you focus in on the fact that we want the fat woman's dollar, and you're doing it on a web magazine which caters to African American females. Does that not sound even the slightest bit suspicious to anyone else? And of course, the third ad, which naturally stands out, and this one's actually a gimme. This one doesn't even need to have any detail gone into it. States, matter-of-factly, quote, pure virgin Indian hair, unquote. And of course, this one has a female model in it also. And of course, in this instance, it is, of course, a black woman. And we're supposed to infer that the hair that's on her head is a pure virgin Indian hair weave that looks absolutely nothing like Indian hair, but, it's probably a stock photo from someplace if you ask me, but I don't know the details. I'm just saying these are the images, and these are what we're being enticed to pay attention to share our time and our money and a little bit of our spirit with. Nothing wrong about the ads in and of themselves, but the placement of the ads on a web magazine which caters primarily, if not exclusively, to African American women, that raises the suspicion hairs on the back of my head. I gotta go. Somebody's forcing me to stop this recording early enough, even though I was pretty much done at this point in time. But give me some feedback. What do you think on this? I'm stopping for now. End of line.